Welcome back. This is Super Kelly Brothers. My name is Sloan Kelly.
My name is Jody Kelly.
I wasn't expecting that one either, Jody. I'm James Baker.
And we're going to be discussing James's top 10 robots, cyborgs, droids, and androids in the movies. But before we start, obviously, we need to give you the whole spiel. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button, notification bell, drop us a like. Really helps the channel. And obviously leave a comment below as well about what you'd like to see a top 10 on in the future. Anyway,
top 10
James,
kitchen utilities.
Top 10 favorite actors
Banners.
that have ever worn corduroy.
Right,
probably
listen.
Jim Carrey and
Ian McKellen for me, definitely. First round ballot, Hall of Famer, corduroy wearer. James, enough of the silliness.
Yes. So my top 10, my top 10, up until when I get to the top 3, that's in a particular order. But other than that, it's in no particular order. Okay. But what I am going to do, because you've probably seen the last couple of episodes, I'm going to skip straight to number 2, which is basically Tarzan Case from Interstellar. Okay, so I'm going to get number 2 out of the way.
When you ruined it.
But I just...
Or did I? Maybe you need to tune in to my one and then you'll see.
Maybe you do. But
I'll leave a link up there.
For very, very similar reasons that Sloan picked Tarzan Case. They're just amazing. They don't look amazing initially, and I think maybe upon the second viewing, you fall in love with them. Especially Tars, I think, because I think, you know, when Tars is basically when he is the one that's got to stay in that ship and take flight to save the rest of them, and he's just like, I'll see you on the other side, and it's a very human emotion. And I like when Coop has the conversation with him and they're talking about the settings that they have, and I love the fact they've got a humor setting, and I love the fact they've got like a self-defense setting, and I wrote these down, and they have all these different types of settings, and I just recall one of the conversations where he was just like, do you know what, Tars, I'm going to set your humor setting to 75, and then instantly he came back with, you know, well, I'm going to self-destruct in, you know, T minus whatever. And he was like, do you know what? I'm going to set the humor setting to 60%.
Brilliant.
So Tars came back with knock, knock. And he was just like, do you want a 55? And it kind of, and the banter was just real. And he just, for that to happen, Tars' emotional setting must have always been at 100. You know, and then for his ultimate sacrifice, his setting was always at 100. And I just thought that's just amazing. And for Annie, and I've said this in I don't know if I said it in the last episode or whether it was between, you know, the last episode and this episode, for anything that isn't human to put forward, like, I'm going to sacrifice myself for humankind, because actually that's what my programming is. I'm so innocent and I'm so childlike. I will give my life for yours, even though it's not a life, but it kind of is, because these filmmakers and these writers make us love these robots. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this thing. For I will give my life for yours. Unquestionably, it's just amazing to me. So absolutely, that's it, straight in there at number 2 for those guys.
And it's, you know, it's not a cute robot. It's just a blocky,
boxy, it's not a cute robot
thing, but it's got so much personality.
And I've said, obviously,
testament to designers, you know.
You know, when I spoke on the last one, when I watched this with my kids don't feel that with it, because it's blink and you'll miss it. It's just, it looks like, I don't know, something from Stonehenge, a futuristic Stonehenge. It's just a block.
It looks like an MFI side cabinet.
It absolutely does, and it's just so much more than it. So absolutely, straight in at number 2. So I'm not starting at number 10, starting at number 2. Tars, Case, and Kip. They are, you know, combined my number 2. Could have even taken the number 1 spot. I feel so passionately about them, the way they move and the way they like to save human life, and that's a huge thing for us. And I know we spoke about Hans Zimmer's score, but if you go back and watch Interstellar and the way the lives are saved combined with Hans Zimmer's score, it's actually making you fall in love with these blocks of metal, because that's all they look like, really.
Yeah.
But they're not. There's so much more than that, and it's just brilliant. Brilliant characters. You know, there's nothing else from the art characters. So anyway, number 2, borderline number 1. There's only one number 1 for me, and that's the only reason they can't get in there. So anyway, let's start.
Will it shock us? Find out later.
Find out later. Anyway, no, let's start with the rest of them. I'm not going to start. Let's start with the rest of them, because my top 3 are my top 3. Let's go to K2SO from Han Solo. A real massive thing about the droids in Star Wars. It was difficult.
Rogue One.
In Rogue One, K2SO. He is another robot or droid that unquestionably, when it comes push to shove, will sacrifice himself, himself. It's a man's voice, but itself for humankind. You know, for everyone else, every sentient being. It's just like, I was just programmed to do this. I don't understand why you're so upset. That's just what happens. I will kill all these stormtroopers, you know, because my objective is to help you survive for the goodness of, you know, the galaxy, you know, so that you can all live and get these Death Star plans. So K2SO is definitely up there.
But he's a reprogrammed Imperial droid, remember?
Yeah, he was programmed by Cassian, wasn't he?
I think he was.
That's why he's still got that little bit of a dickness about him. A little bit of a dick.
Yeah, like the BB-9E, which is my favourite.
I love.
Yeah, that's right.
I love that, you know.
That's hardcore. I actually forgot about BB-9E.
BB-9E is awesome. See that bit where he gives BB-9A the stink eye? Oh, that was my favourite bit in the Last Jedi. Jodie, I know you hate that movie, but you've got to admit, BB-9E.
No, it's a nothing.
Jodie.
It's a flat line.
Well, thank you all for watching, folks. We'll catch you in the next video. It'll just be me and James.
Super Kelly Baker Brothers.
The fabulous Baker Boys.
That's it. So next, I'm going to go for Data, Lieutenant Commander Data. You know, for a lot of the reasons, you know, you will have watched Sloane's top 10. Data's, and I've spoken about it. Data's much more human than, you know, you're led to believe. He's much more, actually, yeah. Although there's something I now want to insert which will spoil everything for everyone, and I can't say it, so I'm not going to say it. However, no, I'm not going to do it.
You can't say that and not say it.
I know, but it's different from a film or a TV program that was in like the 90s or the 80s or the 70s. But quite frankly, Picard is, well, I'll just say it.
Yeah,
right, spoilers. I'm just going to say it, right?
No one's watching it.
Okay, so spoilers if you've not seen Picard. I'm going to sit here for a few seconds. Picard dies at the end of Picard, and it's actually
what? I was going to watch that.
Actually became a robot. So anyway, that's
It's
that.
true.
That's
Really?
why I didn't put Picard in my top 10.
I think Sloane almost spoke that the last time we spoke.
I sat there for a few seconds and I said spoilers.
I actually watched Red Letter Media talking about Picard, and they mention it at the very end of that. And at that point, I was like, I'm definitely not watching this. This is not a show I want to watch. They've ruined Star Trek, much like they've ruined Star Wars in some parts of the universe.
I don't.
Other than The Mandalorian, which is perfect.
I get it. But I choose for it not to let it ruin my Star Trek experience. I like it. There's too much in Picard to like for that part to ruin it. And I even still, I quite like that. Because I thought Picard was dead and I was crying. And then they were like, no, wait a minute, he's not. We've transferred his subconscious into this robot. And it looks exactly like Jean-Luc Picard. And they tell you he doesn't have like augmented, you know, strength, etc. And he can't fly.
He's probably only got 10 years life left in him.
Yeah. Listen, all right, okay, I get it.
Star Trek interested face.
It's let me put it this way. It had a smattering of Deus Ex Machina to it.
I would say, but I think Data. I mean, even in Picard, which I can't comment on, although I am now backhandedly going to comment on because I said I can't comment on it. In Picard was brilliant, but Data is just an amazing character. So we've spoken about it. Data is Data. So I'm going to cross him off. We've spoken about him. I am going to go for Bishop.
Yep.
So Bishop, I think after watching Alien, I'm a huge fan of Alien, and seeing the way the robots or the androids were in Alien, to have Bishop come on and have Ripley cast doubts about his intent and well-being, and and earlier on we were speaking about David, David and Hal, being the just corporate. The corporate faces that
literally
that
the corporate machine.
Literally the corporate machine that just don't care about life and don't care about humanity. This is one android that actually has been programmed to, again, at all costs save lives and stuff. And I think there's a theme, when you're looking at my top 10, although there's the odd thing in there that's murderous. But for the most part, if you're saving someone's life and you're giving your life for it, the way Bishop ultimately did.
Yeah.
And I know he was brought back to life in Alien 3. Spoilers. But he did ultimately give his life.
Mission tore him apart.
It did. Yeah, read into that what you will if you've not seen it.
So,
but it did.
Ash in the original Alien.
Yeah.
Was different to Bishop, wasn't he?
But
Bishop was
he took
Bishop
a
was more
roll-up
sympathetic.
newspaper at one point and tried to kill someone with it.
I know that was a brilliant
That was an odd way to kill somebody, wasn't it? With
but
a
not if you're
newspaper.
I don't know. I don't think it is.
I suppose for a robot, that was
For a robot.
First thing he got to hand, I guess.
a bit surreal.
Yeah.
But Bishop was more sympathetic to humans.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ripley didn't so the last time she worked with a robot newspaper, and so when she saw Bishop and
guys, oh, sorry, I just want to hear if you can see me. You guys froze for a second.
All right, okay, yeah.
Sorry, I can hear you now.
She didn't want to work with him because she thought that he was another Ash.
Yeah, but he wasn't.
But he wasn't. He was a nice guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but from the same thing, because he had from the same company, I would have assumed. Because he had reference to him because he said, oh, those models were a bit glitchy or twitchy or whatever it was. So, Bishop's definitely up there. Definitely up there. So, whilst we are talking about Bishop, let's talk about Ash.
Mm-hmm.
Because as much as the absolute psychopath that he portrayed, he was just, as a child watching an 18 film, absolutely shocking. I just could not get my head around the fact that robots weren't friendly because they were designed to save us. They were designed to look after us, but he actually was designed to just look after either the species they discovered or the spaceship that they were on or anything else but human life. And I was just, that's shocking. And whilst he's in my top 10, it's more because he's a memorable android as opposed to, a nice one. And I like the fact it's shocking to me.
That's what I was saying to you on Saturday, James. Remember, Sloan, our mum bought us the graphic novel of Alien.
And redacted half of it.
And then didn't realise how many F words were in it.
Yeah, because it's the graphic novel.
So she went through the whole thing and put a magic marker through all the F words.
But the thing was, so it would have "God damn" in it, and she would score out the word "God," like she was the BBC.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't the whole thing. It was just God. So it'd be like, "Damn it!" It's weird.
Because she let us watch the bloody film, right?
Yeah.
And then she scored out all the words in the, we're like, what age were we? 10?
Yeah.
9 and 10?
1980, so 8 and 9 maybe?
Not even. I was 7.
Yeah.
Plus at that point,
well,
if that was
1980 when it came out.
No. It would have to have been a year and a half or 2 years later.
No, wait a minute. What year did it come out?
I think it was 1980. 1980, maybe 1981. I get, when did it come out?
I'm sure
79?
it was 79.
Okay, so it must have been 82
Right.
then.
It must have been 82, 83 then. I was probably, I think we were 9 and 10, maybe.
Yeah.
And
And listen, remember when we all watched it initially, we never knew Ash was a robot.
No.
You know, they kept that a bit of a secret.
No. Well, he was in
You know.
stasis as well. So
Mhm.
he was just, one of the crew.
So Ash is definitely up there.
Yeah.
But what a brilliant
With
character,
his milk.
and Ian Holm to play him.
Yeah.
brilliant, terrific.
His next
So-
iconic character is the monk in Fifth Element.
Oh,
Plus, I've watched
Not
the
aged
film
well,
a
that
few
film.
times. I've not seen it recently.
yeah, it's not aged well.
What?
Is it not? No.
Oh,
I loved that when I first saw it, but nah,
Just-
it's not.
Not aged well like the Cosby Show?
No, not in that sense.
All right, okay, sorry. Just checking.
Gonna take a drink here.
Right, I'm going to go on to my next one. It's a bit of a weird one, but in Empire Strikes Back, there's an assassin droid, IG-88. There's a bit of a mixed
Oh,
thing about
weird.
this, and I feel justified because Jodie mentioned the Gonk droid, and who mentioned the Merce droid? Sloan, was that you? So you
Or
guys
did I?
mentioned the Gonk. You'll find out if you watch
We've
those
all
episodes.
been thinking the same way then, haven't we?
Yeah. So IG-88, at the time was a throwaway character.
Yeah.
But not to the hardcore, Star Wars fans. Like when you're looking at Boba Fett, and he was obviously idolized and ultimately made into a TV show. With I don't know what the budget was per episode. There he is. You've got IG-88, you've got Zuckuss, Forlom, and all those other bits.
Dengar.
Bosk, Dengar,
Dengar,
absolutely.
that's right, yeah.
Of which I'm sure Simon Pegg played Dengar's voice in the Clone Wars. I
did he?
think.
Did
I think
he?
he did. Yeah.
He plays the...
Listen, I'm saying I think
Yeah.
he did, knowing fine well that I actually know he definitely did. So, just say, oh yes, I think he did. Look it up. Oh, he did actually. Oh, did he?
Dengar was the guy with the bandage over his head, wasn't he?
And he had lots of bandages. Yes, he
Yeah.
featured briefly in Return of the Jedi in Jabba's palace.
Dengar shot first.
No, Greedo shot first.
I'm going to get a T-shirt
No.
with that.
Greedo did not shoot first.
We could make a fortune here.
I
Dengar
know.
shot first.
So IG-88, I just think because he looked incredibly cool, but knowing how he can move through IG-11 that features in Mandalorian makes him even cooler. And I just loved him anyway. And I didn't need the Mandalorian to make me realize how cool he was. I just thought he's just an amazing thing. And even Dave Filoni, when he was making the Mandalorian, thought he's amazingly cool. How can we show for an actual fact, look, he is actually amazingly cool. Let's make him move brilliantly and effectively. And then at the end, I'm going to spoil this. I'm going to spoil the Mandalorian for everyone. So I'm just going to wait a couple of seconds. And then he saves the child.
And dies.
And dies. He sacrifices himself again for other humans or other sentient beings.
I
If
like
a
Gillian's looking
droid
at
can
me like
indeed
I'm an
die,
absolute
but
weirdo.
he doesn't melt into bloody molten lava.
Aye. So
I like
anyway,
Dead.
I like the origin story of the IG series of droids. So
go on.
this guild decided what they were going to do was they were going to create a series of assassin droids, and so they created the IG series of assassin droids.
Where's the story from?
Canon. It's on Wikipedia.
Right, okay.
And basically what they did was they turned on the IG series of droids, and the droids went, oh, these guys must be the ones we were seeking to assassinate. And they killed them all. They killed all the people that made them. And then they blasted off and went into the galaxy as like freelance bounty hunters and assassins.
Did not know that.
There you go.
And I like that story.
It's a great story. Let's just turn these guys on. Should we give them weapons first? Oh, I think it's a good idea. Idiots.
So they created all these assassin droids. And they couldn't help but be
assassinated by the
assassin droids as soon as they were activated.
Yeah.
Like that.
Turned them on. They was
Good. But what a great character. And just giving that extra bit of inside information from the Mandalorian just makes him even greater. So
and they
it's
speak
even
with a
greater.
New Zealand accent as well, which is awesome.
Absolutely, yeah. It was Taika Waititi, wasn't
Taika
it?
Waititi, yeah.
So, so before I go into my top three, and no, sorry, where am I? No, I'm not. I've got the 2, 3, 4. So no, I've got 4 to go, I think.
Yeah. 4.
I'm going to go Vision from the Avengers.
Okay.
Oh, right, brilliant.
Listen, there's a theme here because Vision ultimately sacrifices himself. You know, because he's I would say a sentient robot or sentient AI. So AI, you know,
He was
more than
created
us.
by Tony Stark, wasn't he?
Yes, yeah, he was. What do they call him?
Ultron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Bruce Wayne had Alfred, Tony Stark had Jarvis.
That was it.
It became Friday.
Yeah, his girl.
It became Friday, but it was Jarvis. It was Jarvis initially, but Jarvis was AI, and Jarvis became Vision. So, and ultimately, it was just like, I'll look after you, no matter my duty. In fact, Alfred, you know, from Batman, it's kind of the same thing. It's just that I'm here to serve your purpose. I will do whatever it is, and I will sacrifice myself. And I think a lot of these, actually, the robots that I'm drawn to do that. That's the big thing. You know, I did have Iron Giant in there, but it's the same thing. I will sacrifice myself for you, you know, the child. But the Vision is another version of this. It's all these things that sacrifice themselves for living sentient beings.
Also,
how can you not fall in love with him?
The Iron Giant also sacrifices itself in Ready Player One.
Aye, that's right. Yeah. Aye, of course it did. No, I've only ever seen it once because every time I ask my kids to see it, to watch it again, they're like, "No, Dad, we've already seen it. Can we just watch Big Bang Theory again?"
We watched it last week.
The Iron Giant, did you? Oh, yeah. Ready Player One.
The Ready Player One, aye. Yeah,
that's a good film. I quite like that film a lot, actually. So, Vision, ultimately, because it's there to serve us and sacrifice itself to us, and it does both of those things. Like many robots in my top 10. And who is it? Paul Bettany does the voice.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
And he's also does the voice of Vision.
Who's married to Jennifer Connelly?
Oh, really?
Lucky man. Yeah.
She is in the Snowpiercer, the Netflix.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. So it's Hulk's Jennifer Connelly.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Ed Norton's.
I think it's is it not Eric Bana's one?
Is it Eric Bana or is it Ed Norton?
I think it's Eric Bana's one. I'll look it up.
I think you're right. No, I think you're right. Actually, I think you're right. It is.
The canon one for the Marvel is the Edward Norton one. Eric Bana is not canon for.
Oh, is it not canon?
No.
I'm sure at the end of the Eric Bana one, General Thunderbolt Ross appears at the end.
He does, yeah.
Yeah, well, he might do, but it was pre-Iron Man.
Right, okay.
Whereas the Edward Norton one is within the. I think it was.
It's
I think the Edward Norton one was just after Iron Man, the original Iron Man.
It's within the MCU, and it's considered canon.
So it was like the second movie of the Marvel.
Aye.
As we know it now.
But it's owned by the rights are owned by Universal for some reason.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
Bizarre. Right. So that was Vision. I've already spoken about my number 2.
Mm-hmm.
So this is number 4 because I'm not going to speak about number 2. Number 4 is Ed 209.
Sorry?
From Ed 209 from
RoboCop.
Yeah.
So, would you call me?
yeah. Because as a kid, again, watching a Paul Verhoeven 18 film that I shouldn't have been watching, I was just like, oh my gosh. Yeah. And I know I have this love of robots that sacrifice themselves for us, but this robot was the absolute antithesis of that. And it just absolutely wanted any excuse, much like probably a lot of American police forces these days, to just give any excuse to just, mow you down. But the voice of it was 20 seconds to comply, lay down your weapons. And it was a show-off piece for whatever conglomerate that was, and they were sitting in this
OCP.
high-rise tower.
Omni
What was it?
OCP, Omni Computer Products.
See if there was anyone here tonight that I knew would tell me that. I knew it'd be you, Sloan. But they're all sitting there and just like they're watching I'd buy that for $1, and they're all just having a nice time, and it's just proper corporate white America.
I buy that.
And they're just watch this, and Ed 209 comes in, and what an amazing design of a robot.
Yeah.
And it's completely flawed beyond belief.
By the way, talking of which, of what things stand for, do you know what HAL stands for in 2001?
No.
Remember how everybody said it's IBM, but it's one letter
Yes.
across,
Mm-hmm.
so it's IBM. But it actually stands for, oh no.
Do you even know, Jody?
Yeah, I can't even say the word though.
We'll get you after the break.
Heuristically programmed
Yeah.
algorithmic computer.
That's a great story, Jody.
Sorry, heuristic.
I can't even say it.
Heuristic. It's
Is it heuristic?
Heuristic.
Can you read that? I don't know.
I mean,
Right.
hold on. This is great television.
Backwards.
No, I can't read it though, but I'm sure someone else can. Heuristically programmed algorithmic computer. All right, okay. Heuristically programmed algorithmic computer. Basically,
And by the way, I think that's very, very.
it uses
See that?
instead
I think we'll go with IBM.
Instead of black and white. Instead of saying this is true, this is false, it uses heuristics. And so heuristics is basically a weight to decide what way you want to go.
To me, I think that sounds like a shoehorn.
It
The
kind of weighs
IBM
up the
thing
pros and cons,
sounds more.
which is kind of why he's like, Dave says, open the pod bay doors, Hal. And he says, I can't let you do that, Dave. And the reason why he says it is because he's weighed up the pros and cons, and he's discovered that opening the pod bay doors is not a good idea.
Yeah.
So it's
That
not
is quite a haunting conversation.
Yeah, it's not like
Sorry,
it's
James.
like a bad idea. It's just that it's
No.
figure out.
Listen,
it's terrible.
another reason I like Ed 209 because he's like a walking speaker with guns. He's got that kind of like mesh.
Yeah, he is.
It's got
right
like
along
a
the front.
canopy thing as well, so it makes you look like there's
Yeah.
a pilot in there. There's a kind of Gundam kind of thing.
But there's not a pilot in
No,
there. It
no,
is
it's
just
as you
it's
said,
just
a speaker with guns.
a speaker with guns.
Paul
So
Verhoeven, though, that was a bit of a theme with him, though, you know, which continued to Starship Troopers
Mhm.
as well. You know, that kind of propaganda and stuff like that. You know, he seems to quite like. You know, which I find it's amusing as well. It's like the kind of adverts within the movies. I think RoboCop does that as well.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
Yeah.
And it continues into Starship Troopers with
Yes,
the
PSAs.
recruitment
No,
videos.
good bug is a dead bug.
Yeah,
I know.
the recruitment videos are really funny.
Yeah.
And at the end of the movie, Starship Troopers, when they capture the bug, and they're like, try to kind of hear what it's saying or try to communicate with it, and they're like, how does it feel? What's it do? It's scared, and they're all like, yay!
It's quite interesting to see, us as writers. Obviously we're not, but writers back in the 90s trying to predict where we'll be in. I don't know when, Starship Troopers is set. I can't remember what date RoboCop's set, but try to predict where we'll actually be on a certain date. So obviously, when they predict 2001: A Space Odyssey, we're not there at 2001. When they predict 2010, we're not there in 2010. And I was watching a film last night called The Vast of Night. It's just on Amazon Prime. So if you've got Amazon Prime, it will just feature in there. Yep. It's set in the 50s amongst kind of Twilight Zone nostalgia and Sputnik and, you know, the Russians invading, etc. It's all about kind of sci-fi space, but it's all very American, you know.
Documentary?
No, it's not a documentary. No, it's a drama. It's an actual film, and they have on there. I've actually, bizarre though, says I've actually forgotten what my point with this thing is. What's the Vast of Night? Listen, let's go into my thing. I'll get back to the Vast of Night. I'll remember what I was talking about. I'm going to go back on because I think we've sidetracked a fair bit.
Sorry,
off the
I know.
beaten track. So
Okay,
listen,
Ed
let's
209.
get Ed 209. Ed 209. My number 3. Bear in mind, I've spoken about my number 2. My number 3 is the T-800 from the Terminator.
Oh, the original.
The
OG.
and in actual fact, not the T-800 from Terminator 2, just the T-800 from the Terminator. Because watching that again as a kid, I was just like, that is like Ed 209. That is absolute bloody murder. You know, when he shot, you know, the first person he thought was Sarah Connor, you know, in the back. And I remember reading an article saying that's why in back in the day that was an 18. It was the fact that he shot her in the back as she was running away, and she shot in the back in slow motion. And I was so shocked at this, and it incurred this real visceral emotion. Like I really felt like that's happened. You know, clearly never. But then when Kyle Reese talks about this is an unstoppable machine that absolutely will not stop until you are dead. I mean, James Cameron pulls through on that promise till the absolute very, very end, and even probably till every single film that was made about the Terminator. They absolutely will not stop till you are dead, and in brackets, or they are dead. So, and I just think that's, you know, his character, wooden though Arnie's acting is, again, we've obviously spoken about that in the past.
Robotic.
Yeah, robotic. I mean, it was absolutely, he
Perfect.
nailed that.
Yeah.
You know, he nailed everything about that. But his short, spiky black hair, his youthful looks, and that particular version of who he was in that film, I just thought was absolutely amazing. So T-800 is number 3 for me. Obviously, Tars and Case are number 2. And I've only got one more to reveal, which is C-3PO. Just, I'm absolutely
At last.
I'm absolutely in love with that character, and I'm in love with the actor as well. I just think, Sloan, what are you doing?
Nothing.
No, why are you doing that to me?
I really don't.
What do you want?
C-3PO.
You don't
No,
like him?
my worst fear was that Sloan was going to say C-3PO, but from Phantom Menace when he was naked.
Listen,
Naked
Annie
3PO.
C-3PO.
With his little gyroscope in the middle.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
That's
Not in his
right.
middle. Not in his middles. He's not there.
Oh yeah, in the back of his head. That's right. Yeah.
So C-3PO, it's
Human cyborg relations.
he is, yeah, and I think actually, I know I'm going all over the place with this, because one part of me is just like, I love it when a robot carries out its function and destroys a human being because of money, and I love it when a robot sacrifices itself for human existence. C-3PO is kind of in between, and I like that because it's just a purity of like, oh, I'm a bit afraid. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And robots shouldn't have those feelings, and he absolutely does, which sets him apart from everyone else because he's right in the middle.
Yeah.
But I think cards on the table, he will sacrifice himself, and that's my faith in him, and I think that's why I love him so much.
He kind of does in Rise of Skywalker.
He does, aye.
Because they
when it
unlock
comes to
the Sith script,
I think-
whatever it is that you can
I
read.
think Rise of Skywalker's the best he's ever been.
Aye,
He gets all the good lines and stuff.
he does.
But I think with C-3PO, I love him, but I didn't put him in my top 10. Spoilers. If you haven't watched it. But I think that having him as a creation of Anakin Skywalker is just
a bit
bad move. I thought it was a bad move.
midichlorians.
I just thought it was a bad move.
I don't think it's.
Don't
I mean,
need-
it's not, I mean, it's.
There's a few things in Phantom Menace that were a bad move, and that was one of them. And midichlorians obviously was another.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Why? What was the purpose of
The other thing as well is those
him
two
making
droids,
that robot?
C-3PO and R2-D2. They're probably the only droids in the entire history of Star Wars in the universe that don't get wiped after every mission, because that's what they do. Because they're it's literally their laptops. That's all they are, is just laptops. So they don't need to have all these memories. And so the bit where R2-D2 plays "Help Me, Obi-Wan, You're My Only Hope" to Leia. Not to Leia, to Luke in Last Jedi, and Luke says that was a cheap trick or whatever it was. He says, I can't remember what he says.
Yep.
That bit there, he shouldn't have any of this stuff, and C-3PO likewise shouldn't remember anything else beyond the previous mission. But to have all those memories, that basically a lifetime of memories floating about them, gives them that much more personality. Than any other thing in like Dio, for example, the new droid they picked up.
The duck droid.
Yeah. As cute as he is, and I really wanted to hate that thing, but I was like, it's okay.
Excuse me.
He really was the duck droid, actually, because he imprinted himself on Ray, because she fixed him.
I think that see if deep down the three of us, right, if you were to say who's your favourite droids in films, we'd both go R2-D2, C-3PO.
Aye.
You know, deep down, without going, let's think about a top 10. Each one of us, you know, would probably go.
See, whilst we've been doing this episode, right, I'm thinking about why do I feel this way? And it's only when you guys said, or we even discussed on Saturday night, Jody, let's do this robot thing, right?
Yeah.
And then you question, why do I like these characters? And it appears to me that half of the reason I like these characters because, well, the sole reason I like them is because they'll follow orders, right? And I like that. And I guess when I go to my work, I quite like just doing that, just following orders. But half of them follow orders for the company, and half of them completely follow orders for humanity. You know, well, you know, if you follow this algorithm, if it means at any other point in existence that life will be threatened, then you must sacrifice yourself. And that's where IG-11 at the end of Mandalorian, he was just like, well, there's no part of this that can go forward without the child living and me surviving at the same time. So therefore, if you follow all the algorithms to the end, I will have to sacrifice myself for the child ultimately. So I'll give him to you because that is less risk.
Yeah.
But then when you come back down to C-3PO, he is scared. I don't think he is willing to blindly sacrifice himself for you. I think ultimately he's us.
Yeah.
You know, he is the most human. You know, he's scared to let go. He's scared of doing things. But I think ultimately, when it comes down to it, and he did show himself to do this in The Rise of Skywalker, he will actually sacrifice himself for us because he said, look, I'm going to say goodbye to my friends. And I think that's ultimately, and I've only just realized this right now, that's why I love him so much, because he's us. He's the most human of all robots.
I'll say it again, but I think he was the best he's ever been in that, the Rise of Skywalker. Definitely.
So,
I mean, I think you're right, though. There is always a character in a movie that is the audience. And I think C-3PO, who is literally along for the ride, is us.
He is along for the ride.
What has up until Rise of Skywalker C-3PO really done? He keeps R2-D2 company while he's doing something.
Being annoying and telling nods.
Yeah, getting into the road, getting into.
You can't do that.
Yeah, and so he is kind of us. But like it's the he's basically voicing our opinions. Like, oh, don't go in there. Like, that's what people shout when they see the haunted house and they see the teens going towards the haunted house. It's like, oh, what are they going in there for?
Yeah. So, and I don't think all these years we've realised actually that's who he is.
The voice of reason.
He's us. He's us. So, listen, I'm going to just add on a couple of bits. I've finished my top 10, but I feel if I didn't say what I'm about to say, it wouldn't be fair because there's a lot of robots, androids, AI in TV. So I'm just going to give you a quick...
No one's mentioned Vincent from Black Hole either.
I know, what a great...
I watched the Black Hole.
He's another one that would sacrifice himself.
Not that Maximilian, although...
Not Maximilian, no way, with his spinny things.
But he did sacrifice himself, though.
Has any one of you watched Black Hole recently on Disney Plus?
No, I didn't realise it was on Disney Plus.
No. Very, very aged.
Yeah, I tried to watch it. I got as far as the bit where they were waking up, and that was me.
Right, okay. Well, listen, I'll probably watch the whole
10 minutes in.
It's 5 minutes in. Then. Actually, here's the thing. Actually, do you know, that was me channeling that guy from W1A, the lovely Lucy. You know the guy? No.
I'm not sure.
Okay. The Black Hole that I saw on Disney Plus, 2.5 minutes in is just black.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it's the best part of the movie. And then the actual movie starts, but it's just 2.5 minutes of black.
Yeah.
You got to fast forward it. Why is that?
I'm not sure, but I thought there was something wrong with
the stream.
The stream at the time.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, before James forgets what he's going to say.
No, I've written it down here. So, but my TV mentions for robots or AI, whatever, is Twiggy from Buck Rogers. What's up, Buck?
Yeah.
I like Wilma, Buck. Do you like Wilma?
I love Wilma.
Again, talking about characters that don't have anything to do, he was literally the place where they hung Dr. Theopolis or whatever his name was.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's literally all he was.
Beady. What's up, Duck?
K9 from Doctor Who.
I was going to put K9 in.
But you can't, because he's not in...
I know he's not in a movie.
Not in a film,
so you can't. I was like, oh, man.
So Kit also.
Oh, the
Kit.
car? Yeah.
AI.
Yeah.
Was the list only for films? I thought it was just...
I think it was only for films. If you go back and look at the messages, it was just for films, just for movies. I was going to put IG-11, but I think I got away with it with just saying IG-88 because IG-11's an amazing robot. And if you've not seen Star Trek... No. If you've not seen Star Trek Discovery, Arium is an amazing character as well, which is also a kind of a cyborg, more cyborg than Data, but definitely still not human, but a sentient being. So Arium has an amazing storyline because she's just a throwaway character whose story ultimately in season 2 means something. So anyway, that's my 5 TV mentions.
If you like,
James's top 15.
I'm always like a back door.
You're cheating.
I know, always a cheat.
My favourite Star Trek show of recent years is The Orville.
Oh God, here we go.
Jody, you can leave now if you want.
And I have a character on there called Isaac. Is basically the Data guy.
So again, what show is it?
The Orville.
I don't watch The Orville. I don't do comedy in space.
We were talking about that.
It's more Star Trek. It's more Star Trek than Star Trek.
James,
Star Trek Next
Generation. What did I say to you about The Orville?
Honestly,
you might not remember.
Next Generation.
I might not remember.
One loved it, and he says it's
did.
more Star Trek than
Star Trek.
Wow.
I don't like new Star Trek.
James doesn't like comedy and sci-fi. He likes serious sci-fi.
No comedy. There's very little comedy in it.
I've watched the first season.
It's even worse.
There's a lot of good. There's a lot of good in it, but it just can't beat Star Trek.
If you don't like a lot of comedy in your sci-fi, you better watch Starfleet then.
Space Force.
That
I've not ventured there.
Right. I need to.
All right. Thank you all for listening.
Yes,
that
indeed.
Subscribe button, notification bell. Throw us a like as well. It really helps the channel out.
And a wee comment.
And a wee comment would be nice as well. What
Just
you
a
like
wee
for the
one.
episode.
Nice
what you
one.
didn't like. And yeah, just let us know if you want to see what's your favorite robot from movies, or android, or droid, or cyborg, or whatever. Just leave us a comment in the notes below. Anyway, I will all catch you in the next one. See you later.
Cool. See ya.